Welcome back to the Horn Takes podcast. I am Sean Redfern. Joining me tonight from the cheap seats once again, Michelle Lynn. How are we doing tonight, Michelle?
Doing good. It's Georgia week. I'm excited.
And it's Georgia week. It's exciting yet also like petrifying at the same time, right?
Yes.
It's an odd week. And you know what's crazy? We're hitting Wednesday, and man, I think I've been so caught up in like the Texas Tech Notre Dame drama on Twitter that I haven't even really completely processed the fact that Texas goes on the road to play Georgia in a really big SEC game this weekend. Maybe it's a defense mechanism. I'm not 1,000% sure. I don't know. We're going to get into it a whole lot tonight. Thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight. Before we get into all of that, check out our friends over at ChinookSeedery.com. 8 great flavors. I love the jalapeno ranch. I'm not a ranch guy. I'm probably the only guy in Texas that's not a ranch guy, but the jalapeno ranch is really good. Probably my favorite flavor out of all 8 flavors. They've got 8 great flavors. They're the best seeds ever. Check them out. Use our promo code HORNTAKES. You get 10% off your order over there at ChinookSeedery.com. If you're listening with us tonight, watching us tonight, hop in the chat. Give us your questions, comments. We love to interact with all you guys. Michelle, before we get into this Texas-Georgia game, let's talk college football playoff rankings. Anything wild to you this week? We talked about it last week. Not a whole lot crazy last week. What are your thoughts as they release the next version of the college football playoff rankings?
So the thing I was most surprised about was that BYU still stayed pretty high, even though, that game against Tech wasn't even competitive. So I was anticipating them dropping more. Them staying so high and staying above Utah, to me, it really makes what you and Mark were saying seem even more likely that 9-3 ain't going to cut it. We also didn't really have any crazy upsets. Iowa looked like they were going to beat Oregon for a second and couldn't pull it off. Penn State couldn't pull it off.
That was the wildest game. That was the wildest game. I don't want to brag on anybody but Texas ever, but what an amazing last drive by Indiana. I didn't see the whole game. I think I literally saw the last drive of that game. And just it looked like, I don't know the context of anything that was going on during that game, but it looked like everything was going Penn State's way. Indiana struggling. They get down the field and man, the dude just throws a pass into the back of the end zone in live shot. Me and my wife were both like, that's an incomplete pass.
Yeah.
But as soon as all the dust settles, the guy says touchdown and we're like, really? And then they start showing replays. What a hell of a catch. That's going to be a hard one not to call catch of the year, I think, when you talk about just the whole context of the catch and everything that went. And it was a hell of a incredibly athletic play. So kudos to that. I don't even know who the guy is. I have not seen a single Indiana snap until this last Saturday. And man, you got to tip your hat to that. Good job. I'll let you go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted, but I had to throw that in there. I was really excited about that.
I totally agree with you. Catch of the year for sure. It'll win an SB, no doubt. It was a great play. Probably gave Indiana's quarterback, I'm forgetting his name on the spot, but that's probably going to be
Mendez
something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
That's going to be his Heisman moment. They're already talking about it. So, so a lot was at stake in that game. And, the chips just didn't fall that way. So I think it puts even more pressure on Texas to really take care of business, because I just think with the third loss to Georgia, they would just have to climb so much, and I just don't know that the upsets are going to happen. Sark,
it's kind of I kind of almost feel like so I'm a lot more bullish on a 9-3 Texas team getting in than I was a couple of weeks ago. But it's not even much. It's not even much. It's still very bearish. I still feel like 9-3, just for whatever reason, I just feel like the committee is they're not gonna jive with that. It's not gonna be something they're interested in dealing with. I think a lot obviously depends on what happens over the course of the last really 4 weeks. I think obviously the next 3 weeks of regular season are a big deal when it comes to the playoff picture, but even that championship weekend could kind of mix some things up depending on how things fall. So
Right.
like I look at a BYU team that fell to 12. They're really, I feel like their only shot now is to win the Big 12. And if they win the Big 12, you're going to have a 2-bid Big 12. I looking at that game from Saturday, we watched that one intently. It did not look pretty for BYU. I tweeted out during that game, like, they just look completely different than Texas Tech. Texas Tech was big, fast, athletic. BYU was big, but incredibly slow and looked incredibly unathletic. They could not, in one-on-one matchups in open field, they could not ever win one time. Tech won every single one of those, whether they were breaking a tackle or making a tackle. So that Tech team, pretty talented, but I feel like that BYU team has just been kind of feasting on a weak Big 12.
Right.
So I mean, we'll all find out when the playoffs happen, because one of those two teams for sure is getting in. And then we'll see, kind of how the chips fall after that. But yeah, right now, I just feel like the Big 12, not a super strong conference, just roster wise. I think some of those teams could maybe make a little, like, I think Tech could make some noise in the playoff, possibly. Arizona State did last year. But are they going to, I just don't know. I don't know if a run is in them. I guess I'll say that.
Right.
Texas Tech hops Ole Miss. That's interesting to me a little bit. And then Notre Dame, Texas, and OU all move up a spot. I'm still not getting the Notre Dame thing. I got to be honest. Like, I don't understand why Notre Dame is ahead of Texas or Oklahoma, to be perfectly frank. And so I got to kind of side with the Texas Tech guys on that one. Like, what the hell are we doing here? Why is Notre Dame still getting all this love? And I honestly, it's the same reason a 9-3 Texas will get in if they get in. It's a big brand. You want to protect that. You want to protect your sport. You want people watching the games. That's my thoughts on that. I won't dwell on that too long. But any final college football ranking thoughts, or just sort of down the stretch thoughts before we jump into this Texas and Georgia game?
No, I think, like you were saying, so many of the games that are left are ultimately going to decide teams' fates. There's a lot of fans, like Vanderbilt fans, are very unhappy, but it's like, well, if you guys win out, you'll probably be fine, So that is, I think, what's the cool part is, so many teams' fate really is in their own hands. So it's going to be really exciting. I have no idea what's going to happen. And I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy down the stretch. I think it's setting up for a sort of a really exciting finish. A lot of these teams are playing each other. A lot of the highly ranked teams have games where, it's kind of iffy. It's not just a gimme ride for a lot of the teams. Now, some of them I feel like it is. Some of them, I think what'll be interesting is a lot of the teams that are sitting at the top probably don't have a lot of teams that can knock them off until a conference championship game. But I think that, again, that conference championship game weekend could kind of get interesting. Our man Joe, that's with us almost every single time we do this show, if Texas gets into the college football playoff at 9-3, is it possible for college football to hate Texas even more? I don't think it's possible for college football to hate Texas even more. I don't know. They're definitely a top 3 most hated team in college football, like across the country. Regionally, I think you could argue that there's probably some teams like up in the Northeast, like the northern part of the country probably hates Ohio State more than they hate Texas, probably hates Michigan more than they hate Texas. In the Southeast, you got Alabama and Georgia that regionally, those people will probably hate those teams more than they hate Texas. But I think if you look across the great country of the United States, there's probably not too many teams that are more hated than the University of Texas. And that's, I don't know. I don't know what that's all about necessarily. We're proud. We're proud to be Texas Longhorns. I get it. Some people don't like that. But anyway, let's jump into this. Let's jump into this Georgia game this weekend. This is a huge, big. I wrote down big multiple times game on the road for Texas. And I like to shoot out polls, Michelle, on Twitter. Wildly enough, 81% of the people so far that have responded to Texas or Georgia this weekend have chose Texas. And it's quite a few votes.
Yeah.
Now, granted, a lot of this goes on to the Longhorn Twitter or whatever it is, Texas Longhorn Twitter.
Yeah.
But I also did a poll last week asking, are you, with 3 weeks to go, where do you sit with this Texas team? Are you a glass half full? Are you a glass half empty? Or are you kind of undecided, like you're just not sure really yet? And the vast majority were glass half full about this Texas team. What are your thoughts? And I know we've talked about this a little bit, but heading into these final 3 games, and let's just keep it Georgia related for this week, because we definitely have to take it 1 week at a time.
Right.
Where's your confidence level as we head off to Athens, Georgia this weekend?
You know, as the week has gone on, I've been feeling a bit more confident. I just think last year we got punked so bad. Like, yeah. I think that we thought we knew SEC physicality, and then we learned, oh, this is SEC physicality. You know what I mean? I just think that they had never seen a true defensive line and unit like that. And I'm pretty sure 3 of those guys went in the first round. It was like Mikael Williams, not sure exactly how to say it, Jalen Walker. I rewatched our first game against them, and every other word was Jalen Walker.
Yeah.
Don't forget, you know. So they had just an elite front, and we just weren't equipped for that. And I think also Quinn, especially with his oblique injury, just was not able to evade any pressure. He was feeling pressure even when it wasn't there. We were just like caught with our pants down. I had no idea what to do. And so I think that we know what it is going to take now. Like, I think that blindside factor was even removed when we played them in the SEC championship game. And honestly, like, I hate being like, oh, well, we outplayed them at a game we lost, but we really did. We had a kicker who missed like 3 field goals, and that was the difference.
The second game, certainly a much different game than the first game, especially early. And I think that was the key. Early in that, I mean, really, and I forgot the exact numbers, but I obviously broke it down after the game the first time we played Georgia. It was like a 13-minute stretch of that game where Texas just completely pissed down their leg, and Georgia absolutely took advantage of it every single time. And that's what built that big lead. And obviously Texas was able to cut into that a little bit late and somewhat make it not as disastrous as it actually was. I think Kirby Smart is a lot like Nick Saban in the way that you don't want him pissed off. You don't want that guy to feel disrespected. He's a master motivator. Nick Saban was a great coach, a great X's and O's guy, obviously a great recruiter. I think one of the best things Nick Saban was good at was getting a bunch of guys that were outstanding athletes, some of the best in the country, to believe that they weren't. To believe that everything they had done so far that year did not matter. If you don't win this game, you're not shit. He got them to buy into that like all the time. And I think Kirby Smart learned some of that from Nick Saban. And last year when they came to Austin, that was 100% what happened. He was sick and tired of hearing about Texas. He got that team sick and tired of hearing about Texas. And to your point, they walked into Austin and physically beat the shit out of Texas in front of their home crowd in a game. You know, I had Texas in that game.
And
not super comfortably, but I thought Texas would get it done, and they just could not do anything early in that game. So yeah, it's going to be interesting now. You've got number 10 Texas going on the road at number 5 Georgia, and Georgia's not the talk of the country by any means. They're quietly, to me, sitting at number 5. They lost a big game to Alabama earlier this year, snapped like their 10 billion straight home game in a row record or whatever they had going on. But I wonder if Steve Sarkisian can get that Texas team to just be sick of Georgia. And they should be. They've lost 2 straight to Georgia since they joined the SEC. Short tenure, but it's the truth. 2 games in a row, they've lost to Georgia. And honestly, that second one in the SEC championship game, to me, that one would have hurt me worse than the one in Austin from a pride perspective. Because,
Right.
I mean, they knocked their starting quarterback out of the game, and then they let like a high school offense kind of eat them up in the second half.
Yeah, we had that game.
As you said, missed field goals were a
Mhm.
huge factor in that game. So yeah, if I'm Texas, I'm tired of Georgia, and I want to go into Georgia, and I want to prove to the nation. And this is a game that if Texas could figure out a way to do that, they are right back on the scene, like 100% right back on the scene, as far as like this team is a team that can win a national championship. I don't know, Michelle. I feel like right now they're up there, right? They're in the playoff today. Like if the playoff were to happen today, they'd be in it. But I don't really feel like there's a lot of national pundits right now that go, Texas could win this thing.
Right.
You walk into Georgia and beat them in Athens, and I think that talk starts again. What are your thoughts?
I totally agree. If Sark is able to get the Kirby monkey off of his back, it's for sure going to put us back into all of the national narratives. Don't look too fast, but if Arch Manning performs well in this game, we somehow win, and he knocks off, 2 other really big games, suddenly it's, oh, maybe he was the Heisman contender all along. You know what I mean? Like, he's been playing really good football lately. And absolutely, it can put us right back into, oh, shoot, you don't want to play Texas. It can really change the narrative around the team. But conversely, of course, if we lose, it's Texas can never win the big one. They're a bunch of
absolutely, yeah.
I mean,
look at it's not just the Kirby. It's the Kirby monkey for sure, because I think that's what held Texas back last year, obviously, from sort of being that dominant team heading into the playoffs. But it's just, I mean, honestly, for Steve Sarkisian, it's the highly ranked team monkey.
Yep.
His record against highly ranked teams, not great right now.
No.
It's trending. It could be trending, but it's not where, when you talk about like elite coaches, it's not where you see elite coaches' records. So I think for not only for the team, but for Steve Sarkisian, this is a big opportunity to go in and like sort of flip a lot of narratives on their head. And why not Texas? Why not this be the game where they can go do it? That's what I keep thinking as we continue to push towards this Saturday. 6:30 p.m. kickoff on ABC. Georgia's a 6.5-point favorite at home. The weather looks absolutely amazing. I think the high on Saturday is 77.
Oh, wow.
Game time temps probably in the low 60s, upper 50s, and it'll just keep kind of cooling off from there. You look at the series record, 4-3 for Texas all time, but they've lost 2 in a row as SEC foes. For Texas, to me, we've talked about this for a couple of weeks now, Michelle. This is a must-win game. I think for Georgia, it's a really, really need-to-win game, because you don't want to be Georgia and have 2 losses and still have to play Georgia Tech. I think that's a dangerous game for Georgia. So I think what we're going to see is we're going to see both coaching staffs have the best plan they can have. Like, I feel like this is for Kirby Smart. This is a chance to, like, I talk about it all the time, like putting your foot down on your opponent's neck and just kind of squashing them and just saying, like, dude, you're who you are, and it ain't me. This is a perfect opportunity for Kirby Smart to do that to Steve Sarkisian and the University of Texas. He's been bleeding a little bit of recruits over to Texas. There's been a lot of Georgia recruits leaving the state. This is a big opportunity for him to make a statement in front of Georgia folks, in front of recruits, a lot of them from Georgia this weekend. Georgia's still the premier college football program in the SEC. And just flip that on its head. It's a great opportunity for Steve Sarkisian to go, you know what, Kirby, you're not the man anymore. I am. So I'm really expecting both teams to be kind of dialed in. It's going to be a pretty physical slugfest type of game, in my opinion. The thing I worry about, Michelle, and I'll get your thoughts, Georgia, and this is crazy. I don't know how many years Kirby Smart's been at Georgia, but they are 50-4 at home.
Yeah.
under Kirby Smart. That is insane. Talk about it, Michelle. What are your thoughts on that?
I do think there is a bit more nuance to that number, though, because that includes the time when the SEC, weren't they like East and West? And
You're right.
Georgia was on the side that, I mean, they
the
weren't
East was terrible for a long time. Yeah.
Anybody. So they were always automatic SEC championship game where they then lose to Alabama. So I think, yes, maybe he would still have that record no matter what. But I do think there's a little bit, at least to me, in my household, there's a little asterisk next to there. That being said, though,
That's
they
fair.
still have been so dominant the past couple of seasons. So, I mean, like Kirby is Kirby, okay? He's one of the kingpins right now in college football. So never underestimate him, even if that number is slightly inflated in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I there's truth to what you say, but also I think a lot of those Georgia teams were just really good.
For sure.
And they would have still won a lot of games anyway. I look at this year's Georgia team, and I said this last year, and I meant it at the time, but I think it's even more true this year. To me, this is one of the less menacing Georgia defenses we've seen over the course of like the last 4 to 5 years. They were banged up heading into Austin last year and got some guys. Jalen Walker was one of those guys that hadn't played a lot, kind of made a return and just with a vengeance made a return. But I don't know that Georgia has that guy this year. That's just the absolute wrecking ball I mean, you look at their pass rush, they've only got 11 sacks on the season. Texas has 34. Texas is tied for the lead in college football with sacks. Forced turnovers, they only have 7. And that's very uncharacteristic of Georgia defenses to not have more sacks, more turnovers. But the only thing that gives me pause, Michelle, is they weren't great last year.
Right.
In sacks and turnovers headed into that game in Austin. And what happened in that game? They got sacks and turnovers, sacks in droves. I think they had the number I want to say is 8 sacks.
They have at least 6. Just I'm replaying the game that I watched this weekend, and I'm like, I know I at least heard 6, and there was fumbles, interception. I mean, it was
they turned the ball over too, and they again, they weren't really great at it headed into this matchup last year. So I just feel like it's almost like Mac Brown and Bob Stoops at this point. And I'm not saying Sark can't flip it on its head. But like right now, you just have to kind of look at this the same way we looked at some of those matchups and just go, man, Bob Stoops is like a step ahead of Mac Brown, at least one step. And so I almost feel like Kirby Smart just kind of a step ahead of Steve Sarkisian. Again, though, like great opportunity to destroy that narrative this weekend. This Georgia team offensively, they're going to try to run the football. They ran the ball. I mean, I go back to like matchups, that have happened already this year. I think an equivalent type of matchup that they've already played, it was against Alabama at home. They ran the ball all over Alabama. So this offense can move the ball. They don't give up a lot of sacks. They've only given up 11 all season as well. So I think offensively they're just kind of there. They're not like, to me, they're not big play, like sort of flashy type offense, but they get shit done. And I really think Gunnar Stockton is getting like the shit end of the stick from a lot of fans across college football. His numbers aren't, again, they're not gaudy, but he's really efficient and just like gets the ball to people and lets them make plays. And, to me, he's not dangerous, but he's dangerous because he'll just find a way to make a play at certain points during the game, whether it's with his legs or with his arm. What's your thoughts on on this Georgia offense and maybe a little bit like, how do you think this Texas defense matches up with all that?
So first I want to just touch on Georgia's defense. I am throwing out all of their stats. I'm just going to expect them to explode in this game. Like that's just how I'm mentally preparing because Kirby, he's just really good at playing against Sark and Kiffin's offenses. He just knows how to scheme against them. So I'm just like very wary of saying they're down this year. As far as their offense goes, much better offense this year. And something that I noticed in the SEC championship game, and I've kind of seen it come to life with Carson Beck at Miami this year, is that you could really see the Georgia players rallied around Gunner. Like as soon as Carson was out, they were like, oh, this is our guy. Like we got you. And that was huge just in getting them that momentum and really changed the outcome of that game. And I've even noticed it at Miami this year, like Carson Beck in some of his press conferences has sort of thrown wide receivers under the bus for interceptions. It's like such a taboo thing.
Sure.
Whereas Gunner, you can tell the team just loves him. And he has kind of like the Pavia mentality. Like he's just a fighter. And Kirby even described their team as hard to kill. And I think that comes from Gunner Stockton. I mean, he's just a tough quarterback to beat because he's not going to give up. But I think Arch has a little bit of that in him too, though.
I agree 100%. I look at a Gunner Stockton, and he's so interesting to me. He looks like he's like 38 years old. Like,
he does.
When he's just on stage and doesn't have a hat or a helmet on, he looks like a really old dude.
Right.
But he's tough. I mean, the guy drives like a 1980 freaking Chevrolet around campus. He's not like this flashy guy. And I think people, as wild as it sounds, I think those guys on that Georgia team in that Georgia locker room, they're kind of drawn to that. And I agree with you 100%. They're going to play hard for Gunner Stockton. We saw it in the SEC championship game. The other thing I think too about that, that whole Georgia team, they know Gunner Stockton's not, and I don't mean to, like, I will not belittle Gunner Stockton because he just gets shit done. He's not a flashy like NFL, first round type of guy.
Right.
But the staff, I think, knows that, and they just figure out ways to get him in positions to just deliver passes. If it's time to deliver a pass, let's get him out of the pocket. Let's dump him off to somebody. We're not going to make it hard for him. We know what he's got. We know who he is. Let's rely on that big offensive line. Let's try to run the ball, and let's protect Gunner Stockton.
Right.
And so it's not just the team that kind of rallied around Gunner Stockton in that SEC championship game. The staff did as well. And it ended up working out in their favor. You could argue, Texas should have won that game if they could kick field goals. And I would agree with that 100%. But I think a lot of people were thinking when Beck went out, like, okay, Texas has got this. Like, we're going to get after this Gunner Stockton kid, and it's going to be a world of problems. Georgia just didn't let us.
Right.
And there was kind of nothing we could do about it. So I expect going into this one, you're going to see the same type of thing. You're going to see Georgia try to get the running game going. You're going to see them try to roll Gunner Stockton out. I don't think it's going to be anything fancy. They're obviously going to go after and target Branch, the transfer from USC. I saw a stat today. It's like he's got 62 targets this season or something. And the closest guy to him is 29 in the past. Yeah, it's like he's wildly like the guy in the passing game on that offense. So, but again, going back to who they lost to this year, that Alabama game, Stockton was not a big factor. 13 of 20, 130 yards. So they let him have his completions, but they made tackles and didn't let anything get behind them, which I think we could all agree that's PK's kind of deal. Like, you're not getting behind us. We're not going to let you get behind us. Bama was outstanding on third down in that game on both sides of the ball. And Georgia was not on both sides of the ball. I think, to me, as we start talking about keys, that might be one I throw out there. We'll see. I might change my mind. But I think I think we're going to see this Georgia team be really fired up to play this Texas team at home in front of that crowd. And then again, just go for the three-peat on Texas in the last 2 years. I mean, that's huge for them. Obviously, Texas fighting for their season. I think the good news for Texas, despite the fact that we're 0-2 against Georgia coming into the SEC, despite the fact that I think everybody agrees at this point, Kirby Smart kind of has Steve Sarkisian's number. Texas getting a lot of help on defense. And I think that's where we've seen this team struggle in the last couple of weeks is defensively. And it's because we've had guys like Michael Taft not be there. We've lost guys like Jelani McDonald. So all of those guys will be back, presumably. It looks like they will be back for this game Saturday. And I think maybe this Texas team, as healthy as they've been since week one, going up to Ohio State. Talk to us about your thoughts on all of that. Like, how much of a difference do you think that makes for this team?
I think it's going to be huge. I mean, thank God that Vandy game was almost over because we had nobody left to put as a DB. You know, we were all injured and crippled. So I think it's huge. Just getting their bodies right, getting their minds right. You know, and it's been probably really tough on this Texas team because every game has really been an elimination game.
Yeah.
That can kind of wear on you. So I think it's really good that they were able to kind of relax for a week. And then now this week, get back into, okay, it's win or die. But I think it's nice that they got like a little bit of a deep breath because sometimes that anxiety can just like really eat you up. And I think like we've seen when this team has played anxious, like when they played Ohio State, there's so much pressure on me. So I'm kind of glad that they've like had a week to decompress and then come back. And then of course, getting our defense back, Michael Taff. I mean, he is the communicator, the coach on the field. You can't even quantify how important that is just in terms of him helping get guys set into other places. I think that's just so huge. You could just see that there were tons of communication errors between people of like, oh, do you have him? Do I have him? Oh my God, he just scored, in the Vandy game. So I think that we can't even quantify how amazing it is going to be to have those guys back. I think as far as the Alabama and Georgia game goes, something that I thought was kind of an interesting nugget was Alabama only rushed for, I think, 117 yards. And so Georgia definitely outrushed them. So to me, it gives me hope because our team is not a very good rushing team. But it's like if we can do just enough to where they still have to respect the run, but what we don't have to necessarily rely on it. That kind of was another little tidbit that gives me hope that we have a chance, because if Alabama had won by like they rushed for 400 yards, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, we just don't have the horses to do that this year. But can we just get enough? Probably, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point, Michelle, because going back to the game last year, early on in that game, and I say the game, but last year we played them twice, but the one at home, the Texas offense started out trying to run the football, and it wasn't like 100% pretty, but they were averaging 3.5, 3.8 yards per carry early in that game.
Yeah.
And then Sark just put it in his back pocket. For whatever reason, I don't know why. He seems to do that a lot to me, but he did it in that game. And it was open season on Quinn Ewers. From a Georgia defensive perspective. They absolutely did not even respect the fact that Texas might even attempt to try to run the football past like the first, 12, 13 minutes of that game. From then on, it was pass. And Georgia was teed up and coming after it. I think that'll be interesting. I know that Texas has found like some newfound explosiveness in that offense, especially going to 11 personnel, kind of dropping that second tight end, bringing in a third wide receiver. And I expect we'll see a lot of that on Saturday. But I think you can also run the football at it. You don't have to cram everybody on your team in the middle of the field to run the football. You can make space by spreading people out. And it'll be really interesting to see how much Steve Sarkisian sort of looks back to that game last year and tells himself, like, I can't do that. Like, I have to, even if we have to punt the ball, like, I have to be able to protect my offensive line. I have to be able to protect my quarterback. We cannot get in another situation again where this Georgia defense just gets to come up there every single snap and go, you know what? That's where I'm going, to the quarterback. I don't care about anything else. I'm going to the quarterback. So yeah, the chess games that'll go on between the coordinators in this game, I think will be very interesting. You mentioned the Alabama game one more time. I think Georgia outgained Alabama in that game as a whole. And really where really where Alabama really won the game was on third down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'll be interesting. And third down's always kind of a key, I think, in any game. But I think
Mm-hmm.
as we look at 3 keys this week, it'll be exceptionally important. If you're listening to us, we appreciate it. Jump in the chat, drop us your comments, drop us your questions. We're talking Georgia and Texas football this weekend. Just a massive, huge. I don't care if you think Texas can get in at 9-3 or you think they can't get in at 9-3. It's a big game because even if you think they can, if you lose this one, now you got to beat Arkansas at home and you got to beat Texas A&M at home. And Texas A&M, Texas fans don't want to like it, but they're pretty damn salty. They've got some. They're not perfect by any means. No team is, but they're a lot better to me this year, especially offensively, than they were last year. I don't think Texas is winning against Alabama or against A&M this year. What was it, 17-3 or 17-7?
Oh yeah,
whatever.
17-6 or something like that.
I don't think that's happening this year. So again, whether you think 9-3 can get you in or whether you think it can't, it's a huge game this weekend for the Texas Longhorns. Michelle, let's talk keys to the game. I know you already released yours out on Twitter, but I want to hear them again. Tell me what you think this Texas team has to do to win Saturday night in Athens.
All right, my 3 keys. So my first key, we've touched on it a little bit, but it's offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. If they do not show up, it's game over. Like, we need the Vandy offensive line that showed up to just come ready to play. And, they're going to have some matches that they lose and things like that. But what I think will be so important is this year, when they punch us in the mouth, we need to get back up. I feel like it was so clear to the Georgia team when we played them for the first time last year. It was like they hit us in the mouth and we just kind of were like, what? You can do that?
What the hell just happened?
And we just were blindsided. And I mean, our offensive line was great last year. But I think that this unit, even though they might not physically be as gifted as some of the athletes we had last year, I feel like mentally, I mean, they've been put through the ringer. UT fans have been brutal on them. The media's been brutal on them. I'm sure in the locker room or watching film together, it's like, man, I think they have the mental fortitude now to be like, okay, we're going to fight back, So that gives me hope. But seriously, like we need them to show up. And I really like the new mix that we have. So I do have faith in them, but it's so key. My second key, because I think that Arch Manning needs to be the best quarterback on the field. He's got to have probably his best game as a Longhorn. When I was doing my rewatch, I know that Arch had some really bad plays, but there were some moments where I was like, okay, yeah, he was getting the ball out fast. He was able to actually use his legs on them. I think that just defending a mobile quarterback in general for even the best defensive guru like a Kirby Smart, it's just really challenging. You just never know when they're going to use their speed. And I think for Arch, having another week removed from the concussion, it might help them unlock even more of his mobility, because he really didn't even have to run much against Vanderbilt. Were they coaching in that? Or, I don't really know what went into that. But he can really use his legs this week. And I think that can be a huge difference maker. I remember Kirby Smart joking in his post-game presser. He was like, yeah, I was surprised that they kept Quinn Ewers in there because he can't even run. Like, he literally said a comment about if your quarterback can't run, you're screwed, And so I think this year he has to respect that. And I do think that can help unlock things for the Texas offense, hopefully. And then my third key is just we need luck, the football gods, the officials. We need a little bit of that to be on our side, because I think, there is something in the water with this Georgia team this year that every call, every little nuance to the game, fumble, luck, recovery, it has just all gone their way. And I feel like for our team, it's kind of been the opposite outside of maybe those special punt returns by Ryan Niblett, but those are more skill plays, right? I don't even consider those luck. Like, he's been making it happen. So we just need a little bit of things to go our way. We have had the worst fumble recovery luck. Like, we will force the fumbles, but then not fall on the ball. We need to fall on the ball this time. We need to create turnovers and havoc, things like that. So to me, those are my 3 keys. The third one's a little silly, but I genuinely believe it. Like, we need the football gods to be with us on that field.
Or at least be neutral, right? Just be neutral.
Right,
just stay out of it, football gods.
Yes.
Yeah, just let the guys figure it out on the field.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So my 3 keys are I don't know. They're probably different than I've done at any point this season so far. But number 1 to me is, like, don't overthink the offensive game plan. We've seen this Texas offense from the 4th quarter of the Mississippi State game through 4 quarters, well, really 3 quarters against Vanderbilt, be just outstanding because they spread the ball out. They took a tight end off the field. They brought a wide receiver in. They spread the field. There was no tight bunch formations with those wide receivers. They really made it hard on defenses because you got to think about it. If you get the ball on the 25-yard line, you spread the field. Not only do you have to cover 75 yards of field vertically, you have to cover 52 yards of field horizontally. And that's hard. It creates holes in the defense just by alignment. It makes defenders have to tell on themselves if they're coming on blitzes. It takes away a lot of the things that defenses have been hyper successful against this Texas offense. Last year, when Georgia came to town, 2 tight end look, they got 6, 7, 8 guys standing at the line of scrimmage. Poor Quinn Ewers and poor offensive line don't have a freaking clue where any of those guys are coming from until the ball snap. And by the time they figure it out, it's too damn late. And Quinn Ewers is either sacked, fumbling the ball, throwing an interception, throwing an incomplete pass. Yep. That was all because, in my opinion, you lined up in a way to let those guys line up the way they lined up. You didn't make them tell on themselves. So if I'm Steve Sarkisian, I am not overthinking shit. I got a spread team. Let's line up in the spread. Let's help that O-line. Let's help Arch Manning. Arch Manning was freaking masterful in that Vanderbilt game.
He was.
Completely in just drop back spread type offensive plays. There was no play action that I know Steve loves to do the play action. I think it's great if you can run the ball or you have ran the ball, but he ditched all that. And it worked. It worked for 4 quarters of football. Then we saw him go back against Vandy in the 4th quarter, bring that extra tight end in, try to run the ball. And you saw what happened. We couldn't do shit in the 4th quarter, and Vandy scored 21 points in the 4th quarter. So if I'm Steve Sarkisian, this has to be all gas, no brakes. From the second the ball kicks off till the second the last second ticks off the clock. We should never put 2 tight ends out there during this game, except maybe on the goal line, maybe. And I'm still like, I don't know. I'd rather have 3 wide receivers. I'd rather spread the field out and let Arch Manning get up the field quickly for a touchdown with his legs. So to me, that's the number 1 key. If we try to go 12 formation in this game, Georgia is going to eat our asses alive, and it's going to be much worse than a 6.5-point loss. I'm throwing that out there. I could be wrong, but that's my thoughts. Key number 2, I think you got to stop the run if you're this Texas defense. If you can get Georgia behind the chains, they're not a great 3rd down team. And Stockton, I like him, but he's not a long down type of guy. So if you can get them behind the chains early, force him to beat you, I think that increases your opportunity to get off the field in those 3rd down type situations. You cannot allow them to just run that high school offense that they want to run with Gunnar Stockton, where it's like run, and then we roll him out and he dumps the ball off to a tight end in the flat for 2 yards for a first. Like, you cannot do that because they're good at that. You got to get them out of that. You got to speed that game up for him. And I think the only way for Texas to be able to do that is to get them behind the chains early. So that'll be a big challenge for this Texas team. Even though they're really good stopping the run, they were really good stopping the run last year.
Yeah.
They didn't stop the run very well against Georgia both times last year. So I think, to me, that's key number 2. And I've talked about it a couple times this show already. Key number 3, if you can't guess, you got to win third down. Like, if you've got to convert on offense, you got to stay on the field offensively if you're Texas when you get those third down opportunities, and you got to get off the field if you're Texas when you get those third down opportunities, especially if you can get them in third and long. We can't have 4th and 19 from the 2-yard line like we saw against Vandy and they convert. Like, we can't do that shit.
Right.
If you get these guys in third and long, you need to light Gunnar Stockton up with pressure and let people make some quick tackle. Make him make a throw. Make him beat you, because I love him. I really do. I love Gunnar Stockton. I think more highly of him than most people do that follow college sports, but I just don't think he's that guy. And if he is, let's find out, because nobody's tried to make him do that really this year except Alabama. So I think, to me, those are the 3 keys. Everything you said, Michelle, I think is 100% on point, but I think a lot of that gets taken care of by not overthinking it offensively.
Totally.
Just spread the ball out and throw the ball. Let Arch Manning eat, because he's good at it.
I agree.
It's like a completely different guy. So I don't know. What do you guys out there think on y'all's 3 keys? Let's see. We got another one from Joey. Says Texas must absolutely limit dead ball fouls. Yeah.
Yep.
Texas got to be I think if I had a 4th one, that's what it would be. Be clean. Like, we can't have penalties. We can't hurt ourselves on the road.
Right.
That just goes without saying to me. Like, you can't do that. If you do that, you're going to lose football games. So there's 3 keys. I think that's 6 keys, because honestly, I don't think your 3 keys were the same.
We need all 6 to happen.
We need all 6
sure.
keys. If we do all 6 of those things, we're winning the football game Saturday night. All right, Michelle. We've been talking all night. You could sense like some impending doom, like some I'm not sure. Talk to us about your prediction. How do you think this one goes? What do you think the score is at the end of this game? Hit us with it, Michelle.
So I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it is going to go back and forth. But my final score, I have Texas winning, of course. Have to. I have us winning 28-24. I think there is going to be, and this is someone commented this on my Twitter page. They were like, what do you think about this? I said, I absolutely agree. This will happen. There will be a goal line stand by our defense at some point in the game, and it's going to be the difference between us winning or losing. It's going to be really close. I think the offenses are both going to get their points, but I just think it's going to be a battle of inches. I think Arch Manning is the superior quarterback. My main reason being, you always hear a quarterback's best friend is his running game. Arch Manning has had no running game this whole season. Like, let's keep it a buck. Gunnar Stockton is having a lot of success this season because he's got one of the best running games, like, I think, in the SEC. You know, he has been doing a masterful job. I think he only has 1 interception on the year. So, I mean, he's been, you know, making the most of what he's had to be called to do. But I think you are spot on. If we can stop the run, like, he hasn't been asked to carry the load like Arch Manning has. We've seen Arch Manning be able to do it, and we've even been able to see him do it against a top 10 team. So I am excited. I feel good. Like, if we lose, I think that we're going to have put up a huge fight, and I still think it would be a close score. But I just strongly believe 28-24. Going to be a classic, and defense is going to hold their own. Goal line stand, I'm calling it.
Hey, that's fair. I think this game is going to be close too, Michelle, and I can absolutely envision a Saturday night where the team that does win this game, their defense has had to do something like what you're talking. Whether it's whether it's a goal line stand or a 4th and down, 4th and short type play late in the game where they just make a play, like something like that, I feel like will happen. And I agree 100% that it'll be the difference in the game. As I look at this game, I think the most important matchup in this game to me is Pete Kwiatkowski against Mike Bobo, the Texas defensive coordinator against the Georgia offensive coordinator. And the reason I think that is because we saw this Texas defense start the season out really hot. Like, they went up to Ohio State. They held a pretty good Ohio State, what has been a pretty good Ohio State offense to pretty much nothing. They had one big pass play, and they were able to chunk together like 3 or 4 plays, I think, and get in the red zone and were able to punch one in early in that game. And that was the difference in that game. But we've seen this Texas defense since then, whether they were put in situations by the offense, which I think is a very valid point when you talk about the defense, especially in a couple of those games, but they just haven't had that dominating performance. So I wonder, can this Texas defense, can Pete Kwiatkowski dial it up, and can this Texas defense go on the road like they did at A&M last year, Ohio State earlier this year, and put just a masterful defensive performance down on a good offensive team? I wouldn't say they're great. They're a good offensive team. They've got firepower. And if they can do that, if they can answer that question, yes, then I think this Texas team absolutely offensively has gotten to themselves to the point this season where they can put up some points and win this game. The other thing, flipping the coin, can this Texas offense continue on the upward trajectory that we've seen them, the last couple of weeks? We've seen them kind of change what they do. And it seems to have been, and you never know, but it seems to have been kind of like that silver bullet, magic arrow. I don't know, whatever the hell you want to call it, that kind of ignites this Texas offense. It's been there. Yeah. And so as I ask myself those questions, my heart is telling me, like, absolutely yes, we can see those things. We can see that Texas defense go on the road, and despite the fact that they got lit up last week, honestly, they did. It was, or 2 weeks ago, it was not pretty. I think they can go do that. My heart's telling me yes. My heart's telling me this offense can continue to do what it's doing. But man, Michelle, my brain keeps wanting to tell me no. Yeah. And I don't know which one's right, to be quite honest. I can sit here and say my heart's right, and then I can think about something else and say, no, my brain's right. But I'll say this: I think this Texas team goes between the hedges in Sanford Stadium at night, and I think they're going to play a good football game. I really do. I think it's going to be a close football game, but I think they're just going to come up a bit short. I like Texas to cover. I don't think Georgia's going to cover 6.5 points in this game, but I think Georgia is going to get it done. I think they're going to get it done like 24-20, something like that. I think we'll see the offense be good at times. I think we'll see that defense be good at times, but I just keep going back to, like, Georgia has kind of owned college football for so long. Kirby Smart just seems to have Sarkisian's number. I think, despite the fact that Sark, you look at Sark, he's an interesting guy because he had a head coaching career, and then he went, he had his personal problems, and he went the coordinator route, and he had a great coordinating career, did it at the NFL level, did it down at the college level, won national championships, all those great things. I still feel like he's a young head coach. I still look at Sark and think to myself, like, this is a guy that just doesn't have a ton of experience as a head coach. And I know it's going to switch for him. One of these days it's going to happen. Does it happen Saturday night? Does it happen, 2 Fridays from now when they're playing Texas A&M? Like, I don't know when that's going to happen. I do feel like it's going to happen, but my heart just says, or my brain just says, it ain't happening Saturday night. So I'm going to take Georgia 24-20. And I'll take that Texas cover. I don't know how much everybody hates that out there, but
I love it because this is exactly what happened before the OU game. I love it. This is a good sign. The football gods, they're listening. I love it. It's good.
I didn't do it on purpose, but I will throw it out there. The only 2 times in the last 3 years that I have picked against Texas has won. So
it's a good omen.
I truly have believed both times that Texas is going to lose those games, and I truly believe they will this Saturday. But
Yeah.
I would love to see this team completely prove me wrong.
It would be
I think they're
great.
capable. The problem to me for Texas is not capability. It's just simply putting it all together. One, because they haven't done that a single time this year. We have not seen this Texas team put a single game together once. We've had games where the defense has clearly won us the game. We've had games where the offense was outstanding and then just kind of went to sleep. We've had games where the special teams, hell, we had multiple games where the special teams kind of saved our ass. But we've never seen all three phases of the game be consistent in the same game. And I think that's what it's going to take to go into Athens and win a game on a Saturday night. So we'll see. I will love to be wrong. And Michelle, I'll do like another plate of crow on the air. We'll
yes, I remember that.
We'll go live with the plate of crow if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, if I'm right, I'm not going to brag about it.
Right.
That's just, I really just feel like that's what's going to happen. Final thoughts, Michelle, before we get out of here tonight. What would you say to a guy like me that's going with his brain instead of his heart on this Texas game?
I mean, I would say it makes total sense because, like you said, we have not put together a full 4-quarter game by both units this entire season. So, like, who am I to expect us to be able to do that now against the best team we've played all season, you know? So there's not really a rational thought in terms of like really leaning heavily into, you know, Texas money line or Texas winning. But I will just say Sark is due his, you know.
That's fair. And I think there's something to be said for that. I think there is something to be said for like for coaches and for programs that are talented. Like everybody's not due. Like you can't say like, you know, Tulane's due. No, they're not. They don't have the same kind of coaching staff. They don't have the same kind of players. But you look at this Texas roster, you look at this Texas coaching staff, it's elite. I mean, there's a handful of teams across the country that have coaching staffs like that and have players like that. And I agree with you. I if anybody's due for like a breakthrough like this would be, it is Sark and it is this Texas Longhorn team. And I think I think they can do it. The question is, will they do the things that they need to do it? And I just haven't seen them. I haven't seen them do it this year. So I'd love to see it Saturday night where they just throw it all together and man, we're having a party and I don't know, like we're feeling good about ourselves heading into the final two games instead of like, I don't know. Could we not? All right. Michelle, I appreciate you joining us tonight. Make sure you guys follow Michelle. It's creeping across the bottom of the screen here in a minute. It's at Michelle Lynn with 3 N's 94. Follow her over on Twitter. She does a great job with some videos and things like that. I still don't know how she does all that stuff. But I know how you do it. I just don't have the patience. That's really
it does take patience, that's for sure.
It does. But when you put it together, you feel so great about yourself and you're just like, bam. But no, the great videos out of Michelle. She's a good follow. You can follow this show at Horn Takes over on YouTube, over on Twitter. You can also follow me at Sean_Redfern. We got a show. I bet you, Michelle, we'll have a show Sunday morning. Are you free Sunday morning, 10 o'clock?
I think I'm going to make myself free. I'm going to have to tell Drew to take our daughter to church and so I can be on the show, especially if we win. I'm going to want to be here.
Okay.
So
well,
we'll figure it out.
Let's plan for a 10 thoughts on Sunday morning, 10 o'clock. And again, Michelle, thanks for being here. Thanks everybody out there that's watching. Thanks for you guys that have jumped in the comments and left us your comments. I appreciate the interaction. You don't know. We'll see you guys. Man, we'll see you guys on Sunday. Let's finish out the week and let's get ready to go to Athens and get on those Bulldogs. You guys get hooked.
Hook 'em.